How's it going, YouTube? Coincidence here with another video, and today, guys, what the brand new is going to be where to Handtrap post the ban list, and I do hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you do, definitely go ahead and like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and check out my sponsors down below in the description. Over on Gem, Cloud, Arla, Imperium, Dragonshield, RW, MainPhaze, and Grimoire. Definitely go and check out my METAFY page for one-on-one coaching, and then subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so we can hit our goal at 30,000. I'd really appreciate it. We are on our way, and I cannot wait. Without further ado, let's hop right on into the content. The first thing I have for today is going to be Kewl Tune, and as I said before, this is not the deck that you want to be hand trapping. This is where you want Super Poly and the Theseus, you want your Regekis, you want your Illusion Gates, you want to make sure that you have different ways to go ahead and break this board. One of the hand traps that is really fire into this matchup, though, is Bell, because you can Bell Remix, which is really good. But even DD Crow into like Crackle, so it can't come back and rip 2. It has to come back to rip 2. So this is going to be a really effective use of your hand trap. You can Ash Q because it's going to be Q into Rico into Rotary, and then Q Rotary into Maker. And you want to make sure that that just like doesn't happen, right? But otherwise, hitting the normal summon is pretty weak. Otherwise, I'd rather just go ahead and break the board. Ogre is a very interesting use case in this matchup because it's almost never going to come up. But if you do need to use it on something like Kewl Tune, you can. It's really for other matchups, but that is a spot where you can use it when they go to like tribute something. You can also like Veiler or Imperm the Maker, so your opponent can't get like anything that they need, because things like Rico and Mix have restrictions on what you can search, whereas something like Maker can just grab whatever you need. So this is going to be the one that you'd rather stop here. But moving into Elfnote, this is going to be a really, really popular deck and something that you really got to know how to play against. Crown is amazing in this matchup because if they summon in their main monster zone and you crown it, they are clogged. And it's going to be a very awkward game. Now, two cards that are very, very important in this matchup. One is Welcome Home. The other one is Rhapsodia. You want to make sure that you have Ash or Ogre for Welcome Home, so they go ahead and pitch one for cost, and then you just stop it or blow it up. The other one is if your opponent is really getting deep into their combo and you're on like Fuwalos, right, and you deep draw into like an Ogre, you can always hit Rhapsodia. Very good target because this is going to be a Reborn / Hot Red and something that you do want to deal with. You can also DD Crow the target of Rhapsodia, which is really good. You also, if your opponent uses Rhapsodia, let's say they like flip it up and use it at the same time you bell it, it will negate the card and the card will go to the grave. It's different if it's already face up and they go to use it because you are negating the activation of the effect. But at the same time, if they go to activate the card and you negate the activation of the card, then it's going to be really awkward for your opponent because they're just going to lose this. So that's something that you really want to know if you are playing the deck, to just be like, just activating it. And then on a new chain link, be like, all right, cool, effective Rhapsodia, right? That's when you really want to go ahead and use it. You can also use Bell onto the Synchro, but I really like hitting Rhapsodia because, again, it's hot red, right? It's a pretty crazy card. But the other thing here is you want to Veiler Imperm the Medius so your opponent can't summon out the Power Patron and then go into Hyper Librarian and then get a free search, and then they draw a billion, right? So that's something that you don't want to see happen. Moving into the pure Power Patron, this is actually an FTK as well because they loop Gustav Max. So it's something that you really want to keep in mind. Nib is like okay in this matchup. DD Crow and Bell are really bad in this matchup. So really keep that in mind. These are going to be like your top tier hand traps versus this deck. You definitely want to go ahead and Ash the Portal so your opponent can't get to Medius in this matchup. You can also Ogre the Vidolia. This card is really strong. Just another starter for your opponent to be able to get to more from their deck and keep playing the game. But the most important spot that you want to stop this deck, whichever you see first, it's probably going to be Shade. But if you see Beyond first, stop one of these and you can stop a lot of what's about to happen, right? So Shade is a crazy card that like just came out, right? That was, I'm pretty sure, like a world premiere, and this card is busted. But Beyond is also very good at what this deck is trying to accomplish because the pendulums are weird, and when they're added to the extra deck, they get effects, right? So these are things that you want to make sure that you have an answer for. And, you know, this is where having something like Veiler or Imperm is going to be really strong next format. The next one up is going to be Mitsurugi Clown Crew. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into how to stop the Mitsu cards. We already know this. Bell or Ash on pre-prep or Bell prior, but stopping the actual Clown Crew cards themselves, you can go ahead and hit the Rehearsal Engrave before they banish it so that your opponent can't ritual summon into Flare. You can also Ash the quick play here that is going to allow your opponent to summon 2 Clown Crew, and then they're going to go ahead and tribute them after and then get additional effects. The other thing is that you want to Ogre Matinee. This is a card that's going to let your opponent draw a billion and then set whatever they want from their hand in the end phase. This card is really too good and you draw too many cards. You can end with like 5 back row, 5 monsters, and like 8 in hand off 1 Habakiri because, you know, why not? Just not hit that card, you know, whatever. But Ashlyn U1000, this is a card that is the bridge. You want to Valor Imperm this. If your opponent uses like the Gallant Granite that they make with the rank 4, and their like Habakiri, they can make this, reveal a ritual and search Flare, then go into their Clown Crew engine, which is pretty interesting. But this deck is definitely a very fun one to play. My friend just got second at the case tourney that I won playing this deck in particular. We just saw a pure Clown Crew deck get top 8. I'm pretty sure at Omaha. I could be wrong about which spot it was, but definitely a very cool deck and something that I could see being around for a minute. And it's also extremely cheap. If you buy like the modern decks and then you just have like Blazing Bulk, you can build this deck, which is kind of crazy, and it's pretty effective. So that's something that you want to consider. Next up here is going to be Branded. You want to go ahead and DD Crow the target of Quem, which is usually Cartesia. This is going to be because the deck doesn't necessarily rely on Branded Fusion anymore, because most Branded builds are Branded Synchro builds, and ogreing something like Ecclesia and the Dark Dragon is so brutal because it just shuts them off from getting to Cartesia unless they like hard open it or they like combo to it. A lot of people are now playing Ecclesia, like the Dogmatica Ecclesia, because you can get other cards off of that too, like the Fallen and the Virtuous. So definitely something that you want to keep in mind, because going like Fallen into that is still pretty strong. But this deck's heart and soul now is quite literally Cartesia as a way to fusion summon, go into Grand Guignol, and then be able to continue to extend. Branded Fusion obviously is going to be something that is still in the deck and you want to go ahead and stop. But having the ways to go ahead and shut off the Fallen White Dragon and the Dark Dragon is going to be the more important side of things now, especially DD Crow on like the Quem target or like a Bistio on the Quem target. And then you can go ahead and bell the effect of the Tribrid to bring something back from the grave, which again is something that like mentions Fallen, so you can go ahead and banish out like the Cartesia again, just to make sure your opponent doesn't get to that. Or you can bell the effect of Albion if they are going for this to summon out like a Mirror Jade, right? You can go ahead and just like bell the effect to go ahead and banish and summon again, which is never bad to do because Mirror Jade is also still just a house. Now, this is going to be a very interesting format because of the fact that we need to have like combination hand traps sometimes, and one of those things is against DoomZ, having something like Nibiru and Valor. If your opponent summons Sargus and they use the effect, you want to go ahead and Valor so that you can at a later point go ahead and Nibiru. You can also go ahead and like Ogre the Drastia when they try to upgrade. They can get additional effects because of like the spell cards that are attached to them too, so make sure that you clarify like what effect is being used at what time. But you can also Ogre the Vidolia, but you do want to have Valor Imperm for the Sargus. Again, you want to have a combination hand trap. If you have like Nibiru plus Valor, you want to stop the Sargus and then Nib later. And then you can also wait until like the Regulus, right? And then you can just like go ahead and Valor the Regulus. But they're probably not going for the Sargus line if they already have the Regulus. So it really depends on what you feel better with at the time, because they could go for like a Verudrus first, or they could go for like Regulus first, and you could just go ahead and like Valor the Regulus and on resolution Nibiru. So you have to kind of read like what's going on in your duel at the time, but this is going to be something that you want to think about. The other one is going to be hitting the DoomZ Exceed. This is usually how your opponent is going to get to Raiders. And then if your opponent already has Raiders, that's a card that you're going to want to Ash, because this card just leads to too much advantage. And then belling the effect of Change to go ahead and add back, because the DoomZ Destruction is the Droll effect, which they will be adding back. So you want to either bell this or Crow the Trap out of Grave. This is where Crow is really good this format. If you cannot deal with a Droll-esque effect, you want to make sure that you have DD Crow ready to get rid of this. And again, it could be a little risky because your opponent could already have a negation up. And that's where breakers could be a little better. But at the same time, this is something that you do want to look out for in their combo, because this is usually how the deck gets to the trap card. I hope that you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, definitely go ahead and check out my Twitter, Twitch, Discord, Instagram. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Thank you so much.